And there's a creator on TikTok. She just jumped into YouTube. She goes by Charmingly Frugal. She's an absolute homesteader prepper. I think she'd fit into our little community very well on YouTube. But she's a TikToker right now, and she's even been on TV. She's kind of impressive. A really lovely gal, super smart. And she put out a short video today, and I wanted to comment on it. I'll try and go back to TikTok later and share it to YouTube, and that takes a few steps, so I have to actually take a minute to do that. Hey, Southern Tier. But today she pointed out, she said, and we all talk about this, if you're not trying to get prepared, hey KP, and you're not taking some kind of steps to not only prepare your family food, medically, financially, but also defend them with what is available in your area, there's nobody to blame but yourself. Hey, oops, what's going on? And I thought that was really profound and very basic, but important to say out loud. That personal accountability, hey Moonsprout, the personal responsibility, it's something I think we've lost in America and maybe Canada. I don't know about Mexico, that people screw up and they're like, well, society did it to me, or racism did it to me, or, it's funny because, when I was growing up, and I was a Spanish kid in an Irish neighborhood, which was really a weird upbringing, and there was like one black kid and two Cubans, like that was it. It was all Irish and Jewish people and Armenians. I don't know where the Lebanese who got chased out of Lebanon by the Islamists, so they were all Christians. So there's a weird mix of people, but I was like the only Puerto Rican kid there in that block. And it wasn't, you talk about racism, we were racist to everyone. Like, even the white kids were racist to each other. I was racist to other Spanish kids. Like, we were just assholes. Like, it was to the point. But, we owned our own shit. So if I did something stupid and I got busted, or I got a beating, I didn't say, that he beat me up because he's white and I'm not. It was more like I called his mom fat and he punched me in the face. There was that generation that many of us were in, that feral Gen X-ish group, the very young boomers, the very old millennials, and the Gen X, that whole little swath of people were all kind of a bit feral. And, people talk about, the man holds you down. I've never met the man. Actually, I was the boss. I fired guys. Like, I was the man. And it sucked because I was responsible for all the shit and paperwork, but I owned it. You have to own your own shit. Can't be racist if you hate. Well, see, yeah, so I made that argument, Dan. I was like, well, like my dad was the man from Gran Torino. Remember Clint Eastwood played that old veteran? That was my dad and his buddies. But it was an Irishman, a Jew, a Puerto Rican, and a black guy. Like, and they would curse at each other. Look, the Jews being cheap. And they'd all laugh. That Puerto Rican burned his food. They'd all laugh. Like, the shit was funny to them because they were assholes to everyone. And then they were the nicest guys otherwise. And you're like, you're really not a racist. You're just an asshole. But she points out it's personal responsibility in the video, not to go down rabbit holes of my dad, because that's a whole nother video. That was an interesting guy to be raised by. But owning, yes, and that's where I'm going with this, Suburban. She points out in her short video, ooh, that was a bump. She said, you need to be prepared for the hurricanes, the flooding, the grid going down. She said, that's your responsibility. And she even points out, she said, look, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You have $5 extra. Go and get 5 packs of spaghetti. There's a baby prep. It's a mini prep, right? And she's pointing out, instead of getting 1 can of green beans for $2, get the 4-pack for $5, you save money per can and you put the other 3 cans in the storage. And, you know, she's giving these ideas, and I'm like, that's good. But she mentions these big events, the hurricane, the flood, the tornado. And I commented on her video. I said, and I collab with her every now and then on TikTok. I'm like, you're absolutely right. But it can be as simple as, I lost my job. Southern Tier, I believe you had a vehicle impacting a residence incident. Yeah, someone else just put that they had a medical injury. I've had people just lose their job. Some of my coworkers, so get this was yesterday, I just found out last night, they were driving to a work site from a man camp. A man camp's basically like a hotel for workers in the middle of nowhere. If those of you been in the military, it's kind of like a big ass FOB for working people. So they have these trailers. If you guys watch Landman, they did a little bit of a video on it. It's basically trailers that have residences, right? And it's like 2 to 4 guys per unit. And they have in the middle of the man camp, they have like a cafeteria with all this food and whatnot. And the boys were coming back to the worksite from the man camp. And they're in their lane, they're convoyed. Yeah, Kentucky is familiar with the drilling rigs. They're coming from their location, and I will get a job June 1st. Good for you. Good deal. Hey, Billy. Hey, Kentucky. There's a semi coming the other way. He's in his lane, and this monkey's ass in an SUV was impatient and tried to overtake the semi with oncoming traffic. And what wound up happening, he got clipped by the semi when he tried to squeeze back in before the oncoming came at him, which was an idiot move. He wound up clipping one of my work trucks and then another vehicle and sent both of them rolling over and over into the dirt. Then the idiot rolled over and he went spiraling into the dirt on the other side. Hey, Watchman. Hey, Carbon. And then the semi, of course, got clipped in the front, so he wound up in the dirt. So 5 vehicles were knocked off the road, and 4 of them were rollovers. Then multiple other vehicles pulled over to assist the first vehicles. There was a secondary accident about a quarter mile back because somebody hit the brake because there was debris. They got confused. They hit the brake. Guy behind him hit him because he was tailgating. All because one person was an idiot. But so there, responsibility, right? One idiot. But the guys had to go to the hospital and get checked out. Fortunately, minor injuries, bruises and whatnot, because they had their seatbelts on. But imagine if it had been a head-on in the night and they didn't see each other. There would have been fatalities. That can happen any day. I've seen guys fall off ladders putting up Christmas lights and get very badly injured, like fractured vertebrae injured for something stupid like Christmas lights. That's a shit hit the fan for a family. You get laid off from your job. Hey, Hudson, what's going on? SHTF. Somebody, God forbid, gets a cancer diagnosis. SHTF. These are personal SHTFs, right? If my neighbor's his wife gets sick or she gets in a car wreck and goes to the hospital, it doesn't affect me. It's not my SHTF. It's not the community, but that family is suffering. And when one family's suffering, it puts stresses on that household. And sometimes that family or those people may start making decisions that are bad because they didn't prepare for these contingencies. So when you prep, don't just prep for, oh, I'm in hurricane country, or I'm in tornado alley, or I'm in blizzard country, but also, hey, Joy, hey, Daryl, also think in terms of, can I use this if I lose my job? Can I use this if my spouse goes to the hospital? Can I use this if, hell, it could be my son, God forbid, like, one of my kids, they're all adults now, they have a house fire. So now I'm going to have to accommodate 2 extra humans and 3 dogs. or a dog, you know, and I might have one of my grandchildren. So now I haven't prepped for a baby or a toddler. Fortunately, she eats solid food, but, you know, something else to think about. Okay, I got to think in those terms. You have to be able to adapt and pivot if you need to. But who's Greenleaf? Hold on. Checking my New York slang. I got the handbook. Awesome. Hey Greenleaf, what's going on? Hey Little Lone. Sorry I missed a few of you guys. And hey Carbon Q. Always good to see you. I see Carbon all the time on Instagram. Kentucky, Little Lone. I think I said hi to everyone. Niels. But folks, when you prep, get the most bang out of your buck and ask yourself, can I also use this not just for a blackout or terror attack or EMP, but can I, well, what was that, Bill? Suburban? If it wasn't for good medical, I'd be ruined financially for life, my body. No, and when you have a bad incident happen to you, an accident or a major illness, you're never, it takes a very long time to get back to where you were if you can. But think of those terms. If I buy this, yeah, can I use it for a hurricane? Great. Can I use it for the Godzillas? Great. Can I use it if I get laid off? Can I use this? Because think about it. If someone gets sick in the house, someone has a car accident, your wife or your husband or one of the kids is in the hospital, that means someone's going to be going back and forth between the house and the hospital, especially if you have kids and it's just 2 adults, right? So, but if you have groceries at home, now I don't have to worry, oh shit, I got to feed the kids because my wife's at the hospital visiting her mom or whatever. She can take care of that because I've got food at the house. I've got an extra supply of dog food in the house. I don't have to say, shit, I'm running out of dog food. Now I have to figure something out to go over there. My preps are seeing my family through while I get my business off the ground. Yeah, exactly. So I'll be honest, with the inflation and the workload and the scheduling, and my wife left her old job and had a new one, so you have that transition period. Having the preps in the house was great. My youngest son, who's nearby, a few hours away, they're on military salary, right? They get the basics. They don't get a lot. So when the kids have come to visit, I'm like, you know what? Take this case of corn. Take this case of green beans. So I'm indirectly prepping them through my surplus because they'll go through it way faster than me and my wife will because they have a kid and they have, they often babysit one of the other sergeant's kids. So, you know, Gojira, it depends if you spell it in Japanese as Gojira, something like that. I followed my own mind on prepping versus my family's thoughts. No, Carbon, absolutely. I had a sibling was complaining about my prepping, saying I was being paranoid and got caught in a hurricane and was one of the ones who was like, oh, I need you to pick me up. I'm like, no, there's 4 feet of water on the road. I can't even see where I'm driving. I'm not going to get in a wreck for me and ruin my vehicle because you didn't listen to my counsel. You know how the Bible says iron sharpens iron and people sharpen each other? Well, sometimes people are dull and they don't want to be sharpened. So that's the steel that's the metal that you need to put to the side because it's not good iron. Does that make sense? I know that last part's my part, not biblical, but it's true. Some people just don't want to listen, but they will be, Carbon, I guarantee you they'll be the first ones who will come out and complain, oh my God, Joey lost his job and I need help. I actually had one freaking relative lost their job and called me and said, I need you to help me pay my mortgage. And I'm like, why did you lose your job? And it turned out that this middle-aged adult decided to utilize illegal substances knowing they worked in an OSHA environment. Right? Now, if people want to smoke weed in their house, I could give a shit. But if you work in an OSHA environment, you don't go to work stoned. That's part of, like, it's not like they hide it. It's not some secret like, oh, guess what? Surprise. You're not allowed to do that. No, you freaking know. You sign a waiver saying I will abide by the OSHA environment. And I'm like, I'm not paying that. You want me to, you know how expensive that is? I can't pay my mortgage and yours because you're stupid. And hey, Canadian, they didn't like that answer. And they got ugly with me on the phone. I'm like, well, now I'm not helping you ever, so have fun with that. But again, responsibility, one. And two, when you do prep with a mind for not just the big emergencies, but the little ones. Again, Hudson, great example. You know, you guys are mentioning hospitalizations, vehicle accidents, starting a new job. You have that period where you don't have your paycheck yet, and the other one's already posted, so you got this little gap of, shit, we're a bit tight on money between jobs. That's how you need to think. You need to start thinking, and I do too. I need to keep that mindset. What I get, can I use it? Hey, Cat Attack, what's going on? Can I use it for small things, and can I use it for big things? And just, yes, that's a good way to put it, Moonsprout. There's always an opportunity to adapt. And again, when I say I'm an engineer, yeah, I have a degree. What it did, it's taught me to be a professional problem solver. That's my job, honest to God. An engineer, a good engineer, they go and they're like, oh yeah, that's fucked up. I need to fix this. And then we try to fix it. And we often fail. Like, I got good at what I do by absolutely screwing some shit up in my career. It'll be like, oh yeah, we just lost $500,000. We totally ruined that. But yeah, have that mindset. Have an engineer's mindset of, okay, this situation is not good. What are my options? And start writing them down. Now, our first instinct is to get upset, and that's mine, right? I'm Latino and I'm an engineer, so I want to be the boss of everything, and I can be a shit to myself. I sometimes have to back up. I'll pour a drink and get a notepad and say, okay, if, say, I lost my job, now what? Okay, I need to fix up my resume and update. I need to start applying. I need to keep all my clothes cleaned and pressed for interviews. I need to start calling all my network to see if I can use them as references. And if they'll let me use them as a reference, I might call someone and say, hey, I need a new job. Can I use you as a reference? They may actually, and it's happened to me, I'm like, hey, I got to leave my job. It's not sustainable. Can I use you as a reference? They're like, dude, so-and-so's hiring. You want his number? Well, fuck yeah, I want his number. So, yeah, the only time your failures get set in stone is when you stop trying, right? Because if you keep trying and you succeed later, then it was a setback. It wasn't a failure. I don't know. I guess you have to make that distinction. Having a setback and having a failure. But again, you need to have that mindset and always ask yourself, if what I'm getting, what I'm buying, the job I'm getting, the things I'm learning, can I use them not just for prepping or for big emergencies, but can I use it for little situations? Can I use it when the power goes down, when I get laid off, I'm between the jobs, my family members in the hospital? Keep your mind open. Always look for solution sets. Always. Yes, exactly. Hudson, the only time you completely fail is when you just stop trying, and then that's when people wind up in the bottle. They wind up on bad substances, and then they crash and burn. Or even worse, they hurt the people they love because they just gave up. True story. So I've been blessed. I've had a 30-year career, almost 30 years. And I've been laid off only 2 times, and the 2 times happened within the same 2-year period because the market crashed. And everyone was getting laid off. Like, it was funny watching LinkedIn. And you do not know how to drive. That's why your car looks like that, pendeja. Anyway, she almost hit me and a truck at the same time. I'm like, you're a stupid person. The first, and we knew it was coming because I survived 4 rounds of layoffs, and I'm like, okay, eventually they're going to get me. I started prepping. It sounds funny. I actually started writing a list of all my contacts, people I was on good terms with, to ask them if I could use them for a referral if I needed them. And in doing so, making those calls, people were like, you know what? So-and-so's hiring, and they need someone with your background. Oh, great. Do you know anyone there? And then comes the community. We talked about that on the Four Horsemen. We've talked about that a lot in our channels. I started networking immediately. Even before the actual paperwork landed, I was already asking people, hey, what's going on? Can I use you as a reference? Do you know anyone who's hiring? I kind of position myself. You should always be thinking in those terms. Is what I'm doing now, can I pivot? Can I give myself options? And can it help me get through the small and personal things as well as the big and dangerous things? You know, the floods, the hurricanes, the tornado, they get a lot of press. But I promise you, more families have been ruined by medical bills, a fatal accident, a house fire, things that are every day we see them go by and you never see them on the news. Those will ruin a family or ruin a life way faster than anything else. So prep with that in mind. And again, the community is not just the prepping community. Every person you interact with can be part of that community in their own way. So I try to always lead with respect and courtesy to other people, because you never know if that's going to be the guy who gives you the jumper cables a week from now because your car didn't start. Or that neighbor whose dog ran away and you ran after their dog and caught their dog, which I've done, and knocked on their door and was like, hey, I think this is your dog, and you saved their dog from getting bit by a coyote out here in Texas. And that's the guy who shows up when he sees you overflowing trash. I actually have a neighbor who's one of those guys. My trash was overflowing, and all of a sudden I came out an hour later and it was flat. And I'm like, what the hell? And he came over and he's like, yeah, I didn't want your trash to flip over, so I came over, took 2 of your bags and stuck it in one of my bins because it was half empty. He didn't have to, but he did. Because the guy senses community. He just functions like that. That's going to be a guy, if shit hit the fan here, I'd be like, this is a good guy. He's got good family. He helps his neighbors. He pays attention to the street. The retired guy next to him, same thing. Hey, Trish. Hey, Rob. So think in those terms. Remember, when you prep, it's not just the hurricanes and the floods and the monsters. It could be the layoffs and the hospitalizations and the other stuff. So, be ready to handle that kind of stuff. And think in those terms. And it gives you, all of a sudden, you start realizing there's a lot more. Hey, take care, Canadian. You suddenly start realizing there's so many things that can apply to everyday emergencies. It starts broadening your mind as to how you do things. So anyway, folks, just something to think about, something to keep in mind. You guys be good. I actually found a parking spot near the office and I don't have to walk 2 blocks. I'm kind of shocked. Anyway, guys, y'all be good, be safe, be careful out there. And remember, SHTF can be personal. Prep for those little emergencies, because those are the ones that really cause problems. Yeah, Joy, got a lot of practice in New York, but y'all be good, be safe. God bless. We'll see you later on.